This gentleman will talk about how to establish legal structure in the world of cryptocurrencies with the focus on a Serbian market. Please welcome with a round of applause Mr. Dragan Maravic.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. As Stefan said, my name is Dragan Maravic. I'm an attorney at law in Serbia, and today I will talk with you about legal framework for initial coin offerings. Something little about me. Of course, I graduated at the Faculty of Law, University of Belgrade. I was working quite a while for PwC Legal, which is affiliated law office of PricewaterhouseCoopers in Serbia. 2.5 years ago, I founded MMJD Legal with 3 of my colleagues, as you can see by the number of letters in our name. We like to call ourselves one-stop shop law office because we cover practically every legal area. I had experiences with financial instruments in my previous office, in my current office, and at this moment we are representing one of the payment institutions in Serbia which operates under the law on payment services. So, this is a brief history of cryptocurrencies throughout the world. Bitcoin has been created in 2009. In 2013, there was the first initial coin offering by a Mastercoin. In the following year, Ethereum performed an ICO. In 2017, number of ICOs rapidly increased, both successful and unsuccessful ones. And finally, in this year, issues emerged, some legal issues, some advertising issues. Regulators got more interested in what is happening because there was a huge amount of money invested in cryptocurrencies, and they rather caught this situation, which had some implications on price of cryptocurrencies, and also advertising got partially banned. Google, Facebook, Twitter, they all put cryptocurrencies and ICOs in the same basket as binary options and other very how to say, activities close to gambling. So therefore it caused some troubles for the ICOs. So what are legal properties of ICOs and cryptocurrencies? First question is, what is an ICO? In general, in law you have IPO, which is initial public offering. If you are founding a joint stock company, you need to raise your initial capital, and you are doing it through initial public offering, which is heavily regulated in all jurisdictions. Similar to that, there is initial coin offering. Someone is trying to make his project work. He needs money. He offers you coins, which will operate on this platform in the future, and promises that you will have profit once it starts to operate, that its price will be higher than it was at the beginning. So this is the general idea. A legal status of these cryptocurrencies is probably at this moment the greatest enigma in the legal world, because all legal institutes are very old. Some of them even for the centuries and millennia. Cryptocurrencies, this is not sure whether they can be classified in some of the already existent legal institutes. Are they money? Are they shares? Are they bonds? Are they investment units? Are they something completely new which doesn't fall under any of these categories? This is the problem with cryptocurrencies. At this moment, there has been made some kind of a general division on utility tokens and security or asset-backed tokens. Utility tokens, they have value. Difference is that utility tokens have value only for the platform on which they are operating. For me, the simplest way to present it to myself is if you have played any kind of massive multiplayer online games, for example, World of Warcraft, gold in World of Warcraft is utility token. You can use it inside of the game, you can buy items, you can trade it with other people, but outside you can purchase it for real money, but outside of the game there is no real use of this gold, and then a utility token. On the other hand, security token or asset-based token is asset-backed is it has some underlying value. It may be situation, for example, that token gives you voting rights within the issuer's company, that you have the right to decide as a normal share, or maybe you have the right for profit of the said company. Also, it can be possible that they can be similar to bonds, that it can be how to say, obligation. There has to be an obligation of an issuer to pay you some amount of money at the moment of maturity of this token. This regulatory framework, which can be very burdensome, depends on the crypto's classification. So utility tokens are much less regulated than these security tokens. This is the main issue at this moment. What is security token? If something is recognized as such, the issuer will have a lot more work to do and may be in some troubles with the regulators. Views taken by the regulators. First, I have to say that there is little to none direct regulation on cryptocurrencies. Because, as I said, they are something new in the legal world, and mostly what exists of regulation are the opinions issued by the regulators, usually the regulators of stock markets and exchanges. In the USA, they had quite light approach, their commission for Securities and Exchange Commission, yet their president said some time ago that each ICO he has seen is a security. So it falls into this other group. Considering EU, European Securities and Markets Authority is the regulator, they were quite silent. We can say, although ESMA said that regardless of the fact is some cryptocurrency virtual or a security token, it has to comply with anti-money laundering rules. So this is for sure. Also, member states and regulators of the member states have issued usually warnings on cryptocurrencies. For example, in Germany, their regulator, BaFin, stated that MiFID II, the directive of European Union which regulates financial instruments, can be applied to some cryptocurrencies, and therefore they have to comply with all of the regulations stated in this MiFID II directive. Malta has prepared a progressive legal framework, yet not implemented it yet. On the Far East, we have situation quite opposite. You know, there is for China there is a total ban of ICOs and cryptocurrencies. South Korea also. In China it is temporary, but still in power. Japan has implemented a regulatory framework. They have direct regulation of cryptocurrencies, and there have been a number of cryptocurrencies which are listed on their market. What are the main issues? And why are regulators afraid of cryptocurrencies? What are the problems? First problem is money laundering and financing of terrorism. Cryptocurrencies are ideal for money laundering, practically. They are very hard to trace, and they're easy to cross borders, and each state is afraid of this situation. Also, they are good for illegal transactions. You can buy all sorts of illegal goods and illegal services and pay with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or such. Also, there have been many scams and frauds using cryptocurrencies. One research said that about 10% of all ICOs are scams. People behind the ICO are collecting money, they're promising you a profit, but they just intend to take it away, put the price at some point high, sell everything they have, and then go away. And it has been done several times. Also, volatility is quite an issue because there is no financial instrument which varies in its value that much and in such short time frame as cryptocurrencies. For example, 2 days ago, Ripple, which is the third cryptocurrency in its market cap, it went up 20% in a matter of 1 hour. It hardly happens with any other financial instrument. And finally, there are cyber risks. Cryptocurrencies are prone to cyber attacks. It happened on many occasions. Maybe the most famous one is the DAO, where hackers stole practically 60 million US dollars from the legitimate owners of that cryptocurrency. And there is no, people just lost their money. There is no any kind of insurance because there is no regulatory framework. So this is what worries regulators, and this is why this area is getting and will be regulated in the future. This is the second part of my talk, conducting an ICO in Serbia, about something about legal framework. First, I have to say that if you are going to start an ICO, you have to be aware of two important situations. First one is jurisdiction in which you are starting, and the second one is jurisdiction from where your investors are. You have to take both in consideration. Serbia has implemented most of the EU's finance-related regulations, not all of them yet, but yes, they are implemented. As I said, this MiFID II directive is practically our law on capital markets is the same. But on the other hand, case law is almost non-existent. Our regulators are afraid of cryptocurrencies. They don't know what they are, and they are using the tactic of playing dead. So if you are asking them anything, they will be, yes, the law says this, but we will see. National Bank of Serbia issued 2 or 3, I think, opinions on cryptocurrencies. One in 2014, where they said that it is not money, but that was it. Okay, it is not money, so now we know. Tax authority also used very vague language when it comes to taxation of possible capital gain or personal income tax, corporate income tax. So their stances are far from comprehensive, and they can turn very easily. Our tactics is, look what are Germans and French people doing, and then we will do the same. But when they decide, once they decide. What is unofficial information is that all assessments of each particular cryptocurrency will be made on a case-by-case approach. German authority, BaFin, promoted this approach, and we will probably adopt it, which is a good thing. Well, what are the steps if you want to conduct an ICO in Serbia? But this also applies to conducting ICO anywhere in the world. First thing is to prepare a comprehensive legal and tax analysis of the case at hand. So you have your idea what to do with your cryptocurrency, what will be its distinctiveness in comparison to other ones. you have to determine whether it is utility token, whether it is security token. If it is a security token, are there some exemptions to put you out of this regular legal way of acquiring licenses, disclosing information on the company, reporting, etc., etc. So this is the start of each ICO. Second one is communication with relevant stakeholders. In Serbia, relevant stakeholders are Securities Commission, of course, National Bank of Serbia, Anti-Money Laundering Administration, and Tax Authority. So it is, you have to ask them what they do think about your cryptocurrency. It is very good in this situation if you already have an opinion issued by some regulator within the EU, Slovenia, Estonia, Germany, whatever, and if it is positive, to give it to our authorities. That usually means that if they said yes, our guys will also say yes. This is how it works, you know, in general, because we are in the EU accession process, and this is normal thing, not something unusual. And of course, if necessary, if you have to prepare for regulatory framework, if you have to register your cryptocurrency as a security token, then you have to prepare for compliance. And if these steps are done wrong, it can lead to a collapse of a project. And most of the ICOs, not most, but there are few of them who collapsed due to these non-complying with the regulations reasons. So this is it. I'm now open for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. Do we have some questions? Mm-hmm.
Hello. So my question, like the first one I have is, how long does this process usually take to get from the moment, okay, I've figured out my idea and now I want to run this, and then until it's unfinished?
Okay, well, this analysis and asking of these questions, analysis is short one. This is the shortest one. It takes 2-3 weeks and it's over. When you ask questions, it depends. I have situations that when it comes to something complicated, and this is complicated for regulators, they may never answer. It happens. Or they may answer you in 1 year time. This is also not a good thing. But sometimes they answer within 1 or 2 months. So these are first 2 steps. If you have to comply with these securities regulations, then it takes at least 1 year to go, which is, how to say, at least 1 year, year and a half to get into the market. Because you have to go through the procedure which is applied for all securities operating in Serbia. I hope this answers you.
I have one question too. What are the possible consequences for non-compliance? I mean, what happens if company simply ignores the rules?
Well, there are lots of possible consequences. They go from official warnings which says, okay, you should be applying for you have security token, but you're not following the procedure. Prohibition of trade, administrative fines, and go up to criminal charges in case of frauds. And it happened, all of these sanctions were already used throughout the world. Now it is some kind of a tendency which was introduced by UK regulator that if you are acting bona fide. If you don't want to cross anyone, you're doing it out of your good faith. First step will be official warning. So if you are starting, you're not complying with the rules, but you're not trying to scam anyone, then they will issue official warning, but still you have to go back on this other track of security token and comply with it. So this is it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hello?
It works.
Okay. So I have a question. For example, if you have a website that is hosted here in Serbia, and that we have some in-app transaction using, I don't know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, or something else. Does that need to be specially regulated or something, or what is?
I haven't understand. You have a website, and
I have a website, and I don't accept money from people. I accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, or something
it
else.
is okay to accept Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can in Belgrade you can buy burgers in one diner with a Bitcoin. It is okay. Bitcoin and Ethereum are probably safe. They are utility tokens, which under current legislation, they are okay. But I'm talking about, there are at this moment more than 1,500, I think, 500 different cryptocurrencies. So when we are talking about this biggest one, you are okay. So at this moment, still we don't know what will happen in the future. What will National Bank of Serbia say, and what will happen with what will say Securities Commission.
I have another question, but for example, if you wanted to have an online casino with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or something like that.
This is how to say. I would have to make, in this case, research and to tell you, because it includes gambling, you know, and online gambling. It is something which needs to be looked from different aspects. It is not just cryptocurrencies, it is also gambling, and then in that case tax authorities, they are in charge of gambling in Serbia, so I cannot tell you at this moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Somebody else?
Thanks to two more questions have just popped up, sorry. Like I was like a little bit now weirded out by the fact that Bitcoin is considered a utility. So you said that if there's like an underlying value, then it's considered security, but Bitcoin is worth a lot of money, which has a value outside of the Bitcoin world.
Everything has its value in money, and we are not talking gold in World of Warcraft has its value in money, but I'm talking about these assets like equities or debts which are connected to some kind of. So we are not talking about money. Money is out of the question. Of course, in the end, it always comes to the money. But Bitcoin is safe. If your cryptocurrency can be expressed in its money value, then it is okay if it's just that. If it has something else, if, for example, as I said, if Bitcoin gives you the right, if we can say hypothetically that it is a Bitcoin company and there are Bitcoin shares and you have 3 Bitcoins, that you have 3 votes in this shareholders assembly, then it would be a security. It is a difference which is, how to say, it will take a lot more time to explain securities in this context.
Thank you. And the second question I have in regards to this is like, then would it, so let's say that I want to offer my services, and then let's say, okay, I have I guess that the price of hourly rate would go up and down, and I'm like a little bit afraid of that. So maybe I want to sell my services in coins, and then like if you get a coin, you can use my service for an hour, for example. Okay. And in that way, I achieve stability in my incomes for the future. So my question is, would then this be considered a security because there is a value? You get a coin and then you can have like 3 hours of my work time or my servers or anything. Or is this
Would
still
he-
a utility?
This is somewhere in between. I would have to make research on this question. Not something I can say, at this moment. I'm not sure, to be honest. In this situation of yours, this is the problem. You have all types of coins. You're buying your time, for example. You can say, okay, this coin, whoever brings it to me, I will give him one bread. You can do whatever you want with it, and that is the problem. This is this classification problem which I was talking about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have
You said about the foreign investors here. If we have foreign investors, there need to be a special set of rules for depending on which country they come from, right? But how can that be arranged? Since ICOs are mostly done on Ethereum, and Ethereum is just sent to the location, they can be done from anywhere, from anyone, and they can't really be tracked
Yes.
where they're from.
Yes. You put a disclaimer and say, people from the United States of America, please do not buy this ICO. Because if you do, we will probably fall under SEC rules. No. That's it.
though you can't
It
really
is not
enforce
that you
them.
can stop it. People do it through other people. It is like with the stocks. It happens all the time, but you can say, okay, I have goodwill to be in compliance with all the laws. If someone else is breaking it, what can I do about it?
All right, thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Okay, one question. I think it's Japan or some other Asian country, and I think it's about Litecoin or Bitcoin. I'm not really sure. I think both of those. There are insurance companies that can offer you a contract that if you buy some cryptocurrency, they'll guarantee you the lowest price. They'll rebuy it from you if it goes under that. I mean, in money-wise, that price, is it regulated anywhere in Europe or in Serbia? Or?
As far as I know, not. In Japan it is, as I said, as far as I know, but it has been regulated in this year, in 2018 in Japan, and the text of this act is in Japanese. I haven't found it in English, so I can tell you something more about it, but as far as I know, no. Not in Serbia. It will happen. This is the situation because life goes always ahead of the law. Law is always behind. State looks what is happening and now say, okay, lots of money in this, let's regulate it, let's tax it if you can. This is the situation. At this moment, this is not regulated. Very interesting idea. I heard all sorts of interesting ideas. What can you do with the coins, but we are still, lurking in the dark. What is going to happen?
Yeah, but it should become a standard worldwide.
It will become a standard at some point, but if cryptocurrencies survive this meltdown which happened in 2018, and it happened because of the regulators and because of these advertising issues, who knows what will happen?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Maybe some other question or? Okay, I see no hands. Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Can you give to our presenter a round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you.